Well, it's been 14 days, so welcome back to This Week in Film, the podcast where we get together to discuss the movies we've seen over the past week or so. We missed last week doing our regular show, but we're back now. I'm Nick Panunto, joined as always by Ray Rayndom Rayquest and Charlie Chester. What's going on, fellas?
We're back.
Hey, what's up, man?
Baby.
How's your tummy? Did you have a tummy ache last week?
There was some issues.
Where?
We had some technical issues last week that involved me not being
Present.
So, but I'm back now. And we've seen some movies.
Yes, we have.
We've had plenty of time, so yep.
Ray.
I didn't know who was starting, so I didn't want to jump right in.
Either.
Yeah, this
Ray.
is a very
So,
scripted
I'm
show.
starting, okay. This week I saw Fantastic Four, the new Fantastic Four, with the new crop of young kids in the film industry. Directed by Josh Trank, starring Michael B. Jordan,
Mara
Kate Mara,
Kate Mara.
and who's the other guy?
The dude from Whiplash.
Yes, I can't remember. Miles Teller. Sorry.
Like J.K. Simmons.
Mm-hmm.
J.K. Simmons. J.K. Simmons plays Dr. Doom in this movie. I'm just kidding. He doesn't. Yeah, so I don't know if you haven't seen this movie or you heard about it.
I'm jealous.
It was
right
very
now. I want to
hyped.
see it.
When it was announced that it was going to be made. Josh Trank was a pretty hot filmmaker. He did Chronicle, which was a pretty cool movie.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of hype behind this film. A lot of the actors, like I said, were up-and-coming actors. And this movie completely bombed at the box office.
Right.
I think it got like a single digits on Rotten Tomatoes. So going into it, I wasn't expecting much. I got to say, I liked the first half hour to 40 minutes of it. It kind of wants to be like a good science fiction film.
Right.
About teleportation, different dimensions, stuff like that. Basic setup is like Reed Richards is a young boy genius. He builds a teleportation device in his garage when he's a young kid. He takes it to a science fair at his high school. Franklin Storm, who's a scientist that works for the Baxter Foundation, shows up to this high school science fair and sees that he built this thing, offers him a scholarship. He goes to the school to do research, and he, with the help of the other members of the Fantastic Four, build this teleportation device.
Mm-hmm.
One night they get drunk and decide, well, first they send a monkey, and the monkey goes to a different dimension, comes back. They realize it works. They get drunk one night and say, hey, maybe we should go and see what happens. So they go, and if you know the story of the Fantastic Four, that's how they get their powers. They get touched by whatever is...
We all know the song from the 90s.
Right, exactly. The beginning of it was great, and then it was one of those things where they just try to shoehorn it to be like a superhero movie, and it just... Obviously, it's the Fantastic Four, so it has to be a superhero movie. There has to be a villain, all this stuff, but it was so crammed. The last, 25 minutes are just basically them shoving stuff in your face, being like,
right.
This is the Human Torch. This is Mr. Fantastic. This is the Invisible Woman. This is the Thing. They have powers. Victor Von Doom is the villain. It was just all like bang, 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 bang. It was just way too fast. The movie, I think, could have even been longer, too. It was only an hour and 40 minutes. I mean, most movies these days are at least 2 hours.
Yeah.
It just seemed like it was rushed, it was thrown out there, and they definitely had plans for making more movies. Like, it doesn't have it ends, it's basically an origin story. It ends with them becoming the Fantastic Four, and they're never going to make another movie because it was just so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The beginning, the good part from what you say, definitely I understand then why people are comparing it to a Cronenberg film.
Right, yes.
I mean, that's essentially Fly.
Yep.
It stinks of the fly, and that's not a bad thing. That's a cool thing to me. I've always wanted to see a Cronenberg brought to the mainstream. See if anyone could do that.
Right.
It sucks that with Trank, is that the guy's name?
Josh Trank. Yeah.
That got dragged through the calls. Admittedly,
He torpedoed himself.
The dude, has some issues or whatever, but he is a talent. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
Chronicle is awesome. I loved Chronicle.
I still haven't seen Chronicle.
No?
I want to. I just
it's awesome.
haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah.
But from what I've heard about Fantastic Four, you can tell the exact moment the studio took over.
Basically. It just, like I said, it takes a left turn, and it just turns into your stereotypical superhero movie, which... I mean, I guess that's what some people want, but it's cool to make a movie that's not like that. But I guess he wasn't allowed to do that, and whatever. But yeah, it's all it's cracked up to be. It's as bad as everybody's saying it is.
What for me, Fantastic Four, there's two issues that no one's gotten it right yet in all the Fantastic Four cinematic stories.
Right.
Okay, so Fantastic Four should be super happy that they got these powers. Like,
Right.
I don't want to hear this horse shit that like, oh, woe is me, whatnot. Like, what are we gonna do with this stuff? Like, they should be like embracing it and really enjoying it. It's like it's free. It's a free gift in a sense.
Except for the Thing.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
That's
that's kind of like a curse.
the thing. So
Gift and a curse.
if done well, like I think the base of the story, the Fantastic Four story, should be about Ben Grimm and like this awful thing that's going on with him and his friends trying to help him.
That's the Fantastic Four is a fun comic book. It's almost the antithesis of the Avengers, which is like these long, drawn-out stories where there's like life and death in the balance. Now, Fantastic Four has serious elements, but for the most part, it's just it's basically a sitcom where it's just these four people who have to work together now because they're two of them are related, one of them's married to the other, and the Thing is Mr. Fantastic's best friend.
Right.
Yeah.
And they just live in the same building together, and then they fight monsters. And it's supposed to be a lighthearted, fun adventure. And the movies, like the one from the 2000s, the first one with Jessica Alba and the dude from The Shield,
Michael Chiklis.
Yeah, like that movie was. Everyone craps on it, but I liked it. Like it was fun.
Those are fun. Yeah,
it was a fun, lighthearted, campy kind of movie.
Captain America's in it too.
Yeah, he's the Human Torch, and he was great as the Human Torch. And that movie was everything that it needed to be. But the problem was that it was in that post Spider-Man 3 era where stuff was starting to get serious. Batman Begins, I don't think had come out, but it was on its way.
Yeah.
And the superhero movies were taking that dark, more serious turn. And granted, the one that I like is not very good. It's not a very good movie.
Right.
But
it
at least
not.
it had the heart of a fun family movie.
This movie tries to be dark.
Well, I mean, how do you update the Fantastic? I don't think it can be
Just don't
told.
Yeah,
Now.
well, I mean,
I don't think there's an audience for it. For that,
there's an
version
audience
of it.
for everything. If you
people
do the
see,
story
like,
right.
I don't know, man.
how good Marvel's doing with the Avengers and stuff like that, and so like they're trying to capitalize on the other studios because this is a Fox movie, not a Warner Brothers. So they're trying to capitalize on anything that they can, and it just didn't work. So whatever.
I think that franchise is the most problematic one that they have.
Well,
to
they've
bring
made it that
to
way at this point. They've
cinema.
Fox at least has ruined the Fantastic Four. Like they can't make another one and hope to make money off of it.
Yeah, they clearly were hoping for this to be a new like I said, this was supposed to be the first one, and they're definitely teasing other movies coming up, and this movie just was so bad that
Like
that's not gonna
when
happen.
this one was coming out, they were saying, I mean, clearly this movie was made just to maintain the movie rights because they have to make a movie every so often to retain the rights to it. So that's why they made this, and it was kind of rushed.
Yeah.
But when they were doing the promotional stuff, Fox started saying, well, we own the X-Men, so that we might do some team-ups with the X-Men because we love this cast so much.
Mm-hmm.
The Fantastic Four is going to be in everything.
Yeah.
And that's just another example of the studio just pushing for. I think Fox has 2 properties of Marvel's anymore.
I think one way for me that this could work still is if you take one or two of those characters and drop them in the same way they just did with Spider-Man.
Yeah, I was thinking that when I was watching it, yeah.
Or something like that. All of a sudden, like, in the middle of a fight, Ben Grimm shows up and says it's clobbering time. I would laugh my ass off, and that would be fantastic. No pun intended. But that would be amazing. Like, I would lose it. Because for me, the dynamic of that weird family, incestuous, just everyone's together, it's just in a building with a big 4 on it is stupid. And I liked it as a kid, but it doesn't hold up. It's 50s schlock.
Well, maybe that's the movie they should make. Is because remember I was saying that the Spider-Man movie I want takes place in the 60s.
Yeah.
I want the Fantastic Four movie to take place in the 60s. Like that would be fantastic. Hilarious. And like I mean, I think a cool throwback universe like that would work really well because then you don't have to worry about modern conventions.
Right.
That got me thinking almost it'd be really cool in a sense, like in Watchmen, when they keep teasing the original what was it, the Minutemen? Like
Yes,
the old
yes,
school,
yes, the old
and
one.
they
Yeah.
go
Old
back
photos.
to the 50s,
Yeah.
and you even go back there at times. Like if there's a new Fantastic Four or whatever, to go back and actually play it up and do the 50s style, leave it to Beaver, annoying stuff, pepper it in, I think could work really well. I think that could be really cool.
Yeah.
But a whole standalone movie,
Eh,
I wouldn't watch it.
you can make anything work if you put your mind to it. Speaking of things not working, I watched the movie Avalanche Sharks.
That's a movie?
Yeah. I watched it. It was called Avalanche Sharks. It's from 2014 and was directed by Scott Wheeler. Remember that movie Jaws?
Yeah.
You remember that movie Tremors?
Yeah.
Imagine if you had land sharks,
I'm
but
trying to-
the sharks are ghosts.
Under the ground?
Wait, is this a sci-fi original?
I don't know. It was
It
on.
certainly sounds like
It
Yeah.
sounds like it, and I found it on Netflix. My friend Matt told me to watch it because I thought he had seen it, and he didn't watch it. He just sent me a screenshot of it, so he burned me.
Yeah, he screwed you big time.
Thank you, Matt. And
Who's
but
the
this movie?
who's the big star of this?
No one.
No one.
There's
No
not like
one.
Not
somebody who
one
was like a star like
There's
celeb?
like somebody
15 years
that
ago.
is like the main cop guy looks like. Oh, geez, he looks like the
Michael
who's the-
Chiklis?
No, it's like the dude from Prison Break and The Dark Knight.
Wentworth Miller?
No, William something. William Fichtner.
Yeah. Oh, no. That
that
guy
his name?
plays the cop in Prison Break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that his name?
Yeah, William Fichtner. Or
There's a
Fincher.
guy who looks like him.
No, it's not even him.
God. Oh my God.
He's in the Ninja Turtles movies, isn't he? The new ones?
The new. Oh, I haven't seen. The new ones.
yeah, I
don't
think
know.
he's Shredder.
Is he?
I think so. The Shredder with the
Wait,
cartoonish
are you-
scissors.
Oh wait.
He's definitely in the movies.
He's one of Michael Bay boys. The guy you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's in
The
it.
guy that looks like the guy in this other movie.
Yeah, we're not
Yeah.
even, we're talking about who he resembles. We're not even talking about if he's in this movie or
as
not.
if he's like somehow granted his talent
Yeah.
by this other guy just out of his looks.
So you read the description of this movie on on Netflix. It doesn't even know what it is. It says something along the lines of it takes place during a bikini contest on spring break. Movie takes place on a mountain, a ski resort mountain during spring break. Does anyone go skiing during spring break?
Maybe
Is that
people
a
that
thing?
live up
How
in
do
the
you
north.
Connect those
Um,
two things.
And the movie poster is a girl holding samurai swords while a giant shark is jumping towards her. There's no,
Is she in a bikini?
I don't remember.
it sounds
But
like
there's no sword in the movie at all.
sounds like a bunch of 8th graders are like, you know what the perfect movie would be, and then just like started throwing things that they liked at a wall to see
Yeah.
what stuck.
Yeah, it is really, really dumb. It was
Where-
really dumb. It had a couple of like funny parts where it was a little self-aware, but
I was gonna ask how does an avalanche come into play?
oh, I'll tell you. The movie opens on 4 establishing shots of a rescue vehicle. Now on the back of this rescue vehicle is a mortar cannon for firing mortars, of course.
Yeah, of course.
And this guy gets out and just shoots cannon fire into the mountain, I guess to dislodge avalanches, because
Yeah.
that is a thing.
Yeah, if you go skiing in like Colorado or somewhere out west, the entire time you're there, you're constantly hearing
Well, this guy,
dynamite and stuff going off.
That's a badass job.
this
Yeah.
guy disturbed an ancient Native American burial ground when he did this, and the avalanche that he created knocked over these totem poles, and that unleashes the Avalanche Sharks. The Avalanche Sharks, I don't know what they are. They're not ghosts, but they're real, but they are ghosts.
Yeah.
There's no rules about them. At one point, they travel across the snow, but they also can just appear inside a hot tub. At one point, there's 3 girls playing in a hot tub. They're, like, woo, party, spring break. Snow shark just destroys them inside the hot tub and then disappears. But later, there's a guy inside a building, and the shark is trying to smash its way into the building.
So do they move through walls and then become tangible when they want to be?
I don't know. It seems
sounds
like the
they're
only...
What is the physics of this?
I don't know.
Understand.
I couldn't figure it out. Like the one guy that doesn't get killed, who's mangled, later is then later killed by the same shark, like 10 minutes later,
Right.
and the shark just keeps smashing into him over and over again.
I want to. It sounds
It's really, really dumb.
like It sounds like they're pulling from the rationalization from Patrick Swayze's Ghost.
Yeah.
Where like he can move through things, but if he concentrates real hard, he could make things move.
Sounds like this is almost a sequel to Ghost.
Yeah, it's.
I don't
in some
disagree. I
sense.
mean, it does
Yeah.
have a Swayze kind
It
of
definitely
feel
takes
to
place
it.
in the same universe. We
Now,
can
the
agree upon
Sharks-
that.
The sharks have an ancient mystical name called the Shookum, or Skookum. Everyone knows about this, including a guy who is in a truck driving to spring break, who is making up the story of Skookum.
Is that a Native American?
I don't know.
term? At what point in our culture are we allowed to say that Native American burial grounds as a storytelling device is racist at this point? It's like because they're like these mystical people at this point that like we.
I don't think it was too racist. What was really racist was the nondescript Asian woman that is going to fix the totem poles. Spoiler alert for Avalanche Sharks.
Yeah.
There's a nondescript Asian person who you think is Japanese or Chinese because she doesn't speak English.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just there on vacation, you assume. But no, she's just going to fix the totem poles. And so she goes to where they are. And as she stands them up, the 3 different sharks start disappearing. And then the movie ends. She just stands.
That's
she
all
stands,
that needs to
She
be done.
stands the last one up and dusts her
They just
hands
need to
off
be
and
stood
goes,
up?
"Woo, job well done."
So that wait, so there's only 3 sharks?
It's unclear. Sometimes there's like 7 or 8 of them.
I mean,
but
an
there's-
avalanche
there's
of
like
sharks.
left.
3.
The others were killed, maybe.
No, it's not an avalanche of sharks.
Okay.
They're sharks caused by the avalanche. Yeah.
Now it's all
Wait,
makes
It's
is there a
subtext.
comma
It's all
in
in the
there or
subtext.
something? I'm trying to.
Avalanche, comma, sharks.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
How long?
It was only an hour and 20
yeah, I was
minutes
gonna say,
of
how,
hell. It was.
That's
how
just
dare
enough.
they have
I
a
knew-
movie longer than that?
I knew I was in real trouble when they had the 4 establishing shots of the rescue truck at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
It was really bad. Charlie, what did you see?
We've almost had this formula going where like I try to watch a terrible movie, but since we haven't done the videos in a while and I can't make you watch these movies anymore,
It's almost deliberate.
yeah, that I didn't want to put myself through it again this week. So this week I watched a movie called Hush. I watched a movie called Hush
Nice.
on
I wanna
Netflix.
see Hush.
Yeah.
Hush.
So
It's a great Batman.
everyone was
storyline.
talking about it for a while because everyone's got Netflix now, and it was like, new releases. It popped up in like the one of the first new releases. So immediately everyone's like, oh, there's a new movie called Hush. Let me go
Right.
see that. You know what I mean? Let me put that on. I'm sure that's
I just thought we were being loud.
intentional by Netflix.
Don't brush me off.
So I was hesitant to watch it because I did research real quick, and by research I mean I picked up my phone and hit the IMDb app, where the person who created it was responsible for a little flick called Oculus
Oh,
that came
yes.
out about 2 years ago,
I've not seen
I'm
it,
not
but I've heard of
familiar.
it.
which was one of the worst movie-going experiences I'd had in a very long time.
Oh.
Yeah, it was. Oculus is awful, and they should be ashamed of themselves for making that movie. I wanted to really see it because what was it? Karen Gilliam, the one of the girls, the really cute girl from Doctor Who, was in it. She was also in Guardians of the Galaxy. So I'm like, oh, okay. But that is no good reason to see a movie because it was not worth it. Oculus was terrible. So anyway, so I watched Hush.
Oh,
Hush.
we're talking about Hush.
Let's get back to Hush. So Hush, very simple idea, and I thought they pulled it off really well. Where basically, female author, held up in a cabin, and she's deaf. She remembers the voice of her mother from when she was a child before she lost her hearing. So that is the voice. Whenever she hears her inner dialogue or anything, it's her mother's voice. So they set this up early in the beginning. And I thought they did a really good job of using that as a device at different points in the story. But so she's there. They establish that she's got a neighbor, and that they also establish that there's like this alarm system that is so loud that she could feel the vibration when it's going off, so that she knows she's not going to burn to death if the house burns down. So they set up basic storytelling devices there, and you know that they're going to come back at some point in some way. Do they do it clever? And I thought they actually did a pretty good job with it, where basically a stalker, a killer comes to her and is just taunting her and fucking with her, trying to just terrorize her.
Explicit label this week.
We're getting
Watch out.
So they actually got a really good actor to play the killer, and I hadn't seen him in a role like this. He was recently in 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Mm-hmm.
He was the younger guy.
Oh yeah, he's in
Newsroom.
Newsroom. Yeah.
Yeah. So he usually plays the safe character.
Right.
Like there's not much range.
Yeah.
But here, I mean, it's one-dimensional. He's a killer just trying to, but he does it really well. So he's stalking her. He's screwing around with her. They go Hitchcockian on using like sound as a storytelling device, and like the silence is like in a lot of ways very unnerving, and like the build up to like what's gonna happen next, and then she starts using these devices that I set up earlier, like the alarm system being really loud, the neighbor, the fact that she's deaf, and the mother. At one point, something plays out, and then all of a sudden you realize that it didn't really happen. It was one of those dream sequences, those like bullshit dream sequences that infuriate everyone in movies. Mm-hmm. But instead of them doing it and you being pissed off about it, all of a sudden the dream stops, and she's dead on the ground. She got killed. And then she sits up, and then she turns towards the camera, and in her mother's voice, she's like, "This is what's going to happen if you go down this road. So you need to get your shit together. Like, don't run, because when you run, you're going to get caught. Fight." And then, boom, we're back in, and that sequence of events never happened. And I thought that was really entertaining, and I really dug it. I mean, overall, it was only like an hour and a half. Mm-hmm. It was a pretty good watch, man. I'd check it out.
Yeah, definitely gonna check it out.
My list. I almost got to it this week, but then I went and watched Avalanche Sharks. Yeah. I literally chose between the two.
I think
Not even kidding.
I think you're a better person for it.
Yeah.
Well, back to Avalanche Sharks for a little bit. Next up is the answers to the last show's Rays Rayndom Rayquest. What's your favorite time travel movie? We got a lot of answers, Ray. Also, everyone votes for me to keep the name Rays Rayndom Rayquest.
Yeah, let's just keep it going, guys.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Right? But anyway, at Malcolm Powder says Somewhere in Time, the Christopher Reeve, Jane Seymour movie is his favorite. I was
recently told I should watch that. I haven't seen it.
I've never seen it either. I just know the box art. They're wearing like old-timey clothes, and it always just turned me off.
Yeah.
Don't care for old-timey clothes. No. Just the effort involved.
I regret the outfit I'm currently wearing now.
At Cumulative Hang on Twitter says Groundhog Day and Looper, two classics.
Love Looper.
Looper was I've only seen it the one time. I've just never gotten around to it.
It's
again.
good, man.
That's the more you watch that movie, the more you'll like it.
At Jude's LM started a controversy when she said only Back to the Future won. The others fail at recreating the magic of the first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we could talk about that for a long time. Sure.
Judy's smacking people around. But then at History Mile says Back to the Future 2 is their favorite time travel movie.
Nice.
Man. He's a big fan of like the future, just seeing what people's interpretations of the future is. And he would also say Pleasantville, which made us discuss whether or not Pleasantville is a time travel movie. And I guess it is because he goes back in time. So time travel. At Wilmington Dan says About Time, which I completely agree with. That is my favorite time travel movie.
About Time is a sneaky, very good movie.
Yeah.
Wait, which one is that?
It's one by the guy who did Love Actually.
Oh, is it with the guy from Star Wars?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And,
I haven't
Rachel
seen it.
McAdams.
Machina.
I don't,
Is it Rachel
yeah.
McAdams?
Yeah, Rachel
Yeah.
McAdams and Don Hall Gleason, I
Yeah.
think is his name.
Mm.
I want to watch it again. I just don't want to cry that much.
Oh my god.
I cried like a baby at About Time. I'm not even embarrassed. Jill on Facebook says Donnie Darko and Interstellar. Oh, Donnie Darko and Interstellar. I can't read my own writing.
All right.
And those are all the responses we had for Rays Rayndom Rayquest this week.
Sweet.
Yeah.
A lot of good responses.
So Ray, what is this week's Rays Rayndom Rayquest?
This week, I'm going to go pretty simple. Not so much Charlie, but me and Nick talked about some really bad movies. What's the worst movie you've ever seen?
Wow.
I would say, make it more specific. What's worst movie you ever saw in theaters?
Okay. All right.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Wing Commander. Boom.
The Mark Hamill classic video game adaptation?
No, with Freddie Prinze Jr. I walked out of that piece
Oh,
of
yes,
shit.
yes.
Oh,
and
right.
What's his name
Mark
from
Hamill's
Scream,
in
too?
Mark Hamill's in the game.
Matthew Lillard?
Matthew Lillard,
Yeah.
yes.
Matthew Lillard is such a good actor who makes such terrible movie choices. He's so good in movies. He always tries so hard. All right, plugs. Charlie.
Boy Zero. It's available on Amazon.com. It is available on all digital media platforms. Caliber.com. There's a couple podcasts that I recently did. Shout outs to the Knuckleheads podcast, to Superhero Speaks podcast. Superhero Speaks, they're going to be in Philly Comic-Con this weekend. So you guys should...
It's the first week of June.
Yes, it is the first week of June. So shout outs to those guys. Faux show.
And Ray, do you have any plugs?
This time, I actually do have a plug. I want to take a second to tell you guys about the Wire and Wick podcast.
Oh.
Join the host, Chris Carlson, every Monday while he talks about some of the big things that happened in the past week, all from a center-left perspective. He covers everything from primary debates to Blake Lively's butt, which is always good. The Wire and Wick podcast is also your one-stop show for everything in vaping, from new products to government regulations and how you can fight for your right to not smoke. Check it out at thewireandwickpodcast.com or anywhere else you get your podcasts.
Okay, great. And
Nice.
I just want to say, if you're listening to us on the podcast radio network, which is a thing that we're featured on Wednesday nights at 10:30, thank you for listening. You can find us on the internet at iTunes, SoundCloud, Facebook, Twitter, all the regular stuff. We're thisweekinfilmpodcast.com. Please rate, review, and subscribe to us. And if that is the end of the reel, we'll see you
Oh my
next
God.
week in film.
God. You wouldn't talk about that. Come on.